criminal activity. They're the top of the food chain. You got to indict the heads of the foundations, the head of the Carnegie Endowment. You can do it double one there because he's also the former CIA director. Get him. Go right at the top, legally and lawfully. Pompeo. Oh, they didn't just strip his security and take his security clearance. I bet he gets indicted real quick. He's one of the worst. And Trump understands this is war. They're not going to give us any quarter. They're not going to stop. The only way to beat them is to disregard everything they say and do, totally demonize them to the public, and that's because they are demons. You got the truth. And indict all their asses for the litany of crimes they committed because they thought they were above the law and invincible. And then educate the public about their crimes and let all the dirt come out so that we get our soul back as a country. But, yeah, I'm celebrating. And, again, we're not out of the woods yet, but they will never, ever reconstitute this New World Order neoliberal satanic system. That this current crop, their infrastructure is done. Doesn't mean there's not big issues with AI and transhumanism, just latently, and there's other major challenges. But their globalist system and their program of completely destroying the West and destroying our families and cutting off the energy and all of that will never succeed now because the people understand it's a deliberate policy to make you poor and sick and then dead. And so the uncloaking of the bad guys, if you think it's intense now, it's only accelerating. And the house of cards has collapsed. And the rats have sunk with the ship. They didn't even get off. This isn't rats leaving a sinking ship. This is rats that stayed on board or at the bottom of Davy Jones's locker. Now, you noticed Musk 4 years ago started getting off the ship wisely, and others started jumping off in the last year. And I'm not saying Musk was a rat. I'm just saying he saw the ship was going under and said, hey, we better, get behind a reboot of civilization. But we were all on the ship. Not just rats, but all of us as well. So they're going to sink all of us with them if we don't fully disengage them from all the power levers. And we've got big nuclear war news coming up. But let me just tell you the big positive news in chunklets, and then I'm just going to then drill into each of the chunks. Trump has declared war officially with executive orders and says, I am declaring war. And Tom Homan, his czar, has said, we are declaring war. And he said for the last few months, he said, as soon as we start actually shutting down the human trafficking and the fentanyl and the sex slavery, the cartels are going to try to kill federal agents and others. And when they do, we're going to come in with the military and we're going to slaughter them. And so the Mexican cartels don't understand there's a new sheriff in town. They walked into their trap. They just tried to ambush down on the Texas-Mexico border yesterday. Really dramatic drone footage of the Mexican cartels trying to kill the Border Patrol and shooting up their vehicles, and then the Border Patrol firing back. It is dramatic. And a few days ago, they shot hikers across the border in California, shot a mountain biker. The days of them just running around murdering everybody and the Border Patrol being shot at and told not to shoot back is over. And so if Mexico really wants the Marines to invade again, you're about 2 inches away from it. And Trump's not playing games. He's looking for somebody to cross the United States so we can get back to where we were. And that's Fortress America. And that's America expanding. Not by conquest, but by business deals. ICE makes close to 1,200 arrests in one day. All of them hardened criminals with serious criminal records that Biden let out of prison. And most of them have convictions in the country they came from, and then they come here and get convictions and get slaps on the wrist. Oh, you raped a 5-year-old? Yeah, 6 months. You killed somebody drunk driving? 1 year. Oh, you robbed a bank? 2. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then you got the evil mayor and the evil governor of Illinois and Chicago saying, we're going to stand up and we're going to fight. We're going to resist President Trump coming here to arrest our migrants who've done nothing wrong. They're illegal because they're here, but Trump's going after the hardened ones, the ones that didn't just commit the crime coming here, but have criminal convictions. And look, just keep pushing, Mayor. Just keep committing crimes because you're going to get your ugly ass indicted. Trump absolutely must go after all these people because the public knows they're the crooks. See, when they went after Trump, who was innocent, it backfired. But no, America wants these Democrat Party operatives in prison. You know, the mayor of New York, he's a political opportunist, but he was smart enough in the last 6 months to roll over to Trump, start singing like a canary. But the other Democrat mayors and governors like Newsom are so arrogant. So, we've got all that news. I'm going to hit border first. Then the big one. This is Trump's most devastating move against the globalist deep state. And that is purging the political operative inspector generals that I'll break down for you in a moment. And firing all the political operatives of the Justice Department that persecuted Trump and were found to be criminal frauds. Trump suspended as many as 60 senior bureaucrats for trying to evade his executive orders and trying to keep DEI in place by changing the name of the department. That's not just something to be fired for. I bet a bunch of them will get indicted. It's fraud. Misappropriation of funds. Fired inspector generals raise alarm as Trump administration moves to finalize the purge. Adam Schiff says Trump broke the law by firing 18 inspector generals. No, he didn't. I've even got the Washington Post and others admitting, oh, sorry, Democrats, there's precedent for Obama fired inspector general in 2009 who was investigating his friend without congressional approval. But these inspector generals under the current code, the current incarnation, came around in the late 1970s. And you've heard the Democrats talk about packing the Supreme Court, adding a bunch of people they appoint, up to 30, 40, whatever they want. But instead they said, oh no, we'll just pass a law with inspector generals over the judiciary. You have a separation of powers. You can't have Congress over the president and Congress over the courts. That's a total violation of the federalist system. Bill Clinton fired 98 of the 100 U.S. attorneys the first day he got in office in 1993. They all do it. Trump didn't do it 8 years ago and put his people in. And so, of course, they organized and attacked and set him up, and General Flynn and everybody else. I mean, Trump, it'd be like if your grandma dies and, or your cousin, your aunt or something, and she gives you a farmhouse out in West Texas, and, you drive out there to see the house you've been given. You've never been there, or maybe you're there when you were a kid, but you go in and it's been, she's been in the nursing home for years and it's all boarded up, and you find a bunch of rattlesnakes living in it. Well, do you leave the rattlesnakes in your house? No, you take them outside and charm them. But we're not going to kill anybody like a rattlesnake. We're just going to remove them so they don't curl up next to us in bed. He's saying he's going to fire the 90,000 IRS agents or reassign them to the border, and he means it. And then it just goes on with everything else he's doing. And then there's all the other important news. And then they're also running really nasty, dirty tricks on Elon Musk that are strategic. We already exposed Bill Gates caught running the fake doctor signature movement against RFK Jr. It went big Friday and Saturday, Sunday. I mean, tens of millions watched it and read about it and heard it. But we finally got the Trump administration to be aware of it and senators to be aware of it. And they're talking about it. And it's going to now be the big issue when RFK's confirmation comes up soon. And all the other dirty tricks they play, we're way ahead of it. It'd be like if you knew which fake woman they were going to spring on Kavanaugh when it all came out to be fake, we would have been able to go and ferret it and expose it. But they would spring them. Remember, like 15 of them by the end of it, because they'd spring one and take a day or two to prove they were a fraud. They'd spring another, spring another, spring another. But people saw, like the whack-a-mole, the fake women coming out, and it was all fake. And some even later admitted they were told to do it. They, quote, didn't like Kavanaugh. And this time, we know their attacks. We know who they are. We know their organizations. We know their dark money. And we're watching their ass like a hawk. Now, you know where I find 90% of this is you. Posting under my post on X, email, the crew brings me a lot of stuff, but I'm digging through everything. But the really good stuff comes from you. Now, on the Bill Gates thing, everybody's like, look, these are fake doctors. It's this dark money group. And I went, that's Bill Gates' group. Of course, 5 seconds later, yeah, I knew it was his group.